news came out yesterday. I'm not going to read any of the fine print of the Variety article. The Snyder Cut is real. Zack Snyder announced on a Man of Steel Q&A that he was going to be releasing his version of Justice League, the movie, on HBO Max sometime next year. For fans of the DCEU, this is just, oh my god, never thought this day would come. Let's do a quick little rundown. I'm not going to jump into the details of the Variety story. Like I said, that's been well covered. It was well covered yesterday by a myriad of other people. Let's just kind of establish some framework here before we talk about what I'm looking forward to most in the Snyder Cut. So the DC Extended Universe, or the DCEU, encompasses almost all DC films coming out right now. Almost all. The DC Extended Universe includes movies like, let's see, I'm going to pull them up on my phone so my computer doesn't break on me. I don't know if y'all noticed, but I looked really tired in the Crash Bandicoot video. That's because I was really tired. I've just been struggling with my equipment the past few days, and it's just been physically exhausting. So the movies that are a part of the DC Extended Universe right now: Man of Steel, Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice, Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, Justice League, Aquaman, Shazam, Birds of Prey, and that is it. So those are all the movies of the DC Extended Universe that have been released. Now the DC Extended Universe is sort of like the Marvel movies in that they are all set in the same universe and presumably the same timeline. So at any moment, the Harley Quinn of Birds of Prey could run into the Henry Cavill Superman. And we also have some upcoming DC Extended Universe movies. Wonder Woman 1984 is coming out this year. The Suicide Squad, which will be a sequel to Suicide Squad, the original. And then Black Adam. The Suicide Squad, The Batman, and Black Adam are coming out in 2021. So that's next year. So we're getting those three movies and the Snyder Cut released on HBO Max. So Justice League came out in 2017, and I remember going to see it. In fact, I was wearing this exact outfit. My brother had dressed up as Batman, and his friend who was with us had dressed up as Flash, and we were just so excited for this movie. Me and my brother were big fans of Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, so we were really pumped with the DC universe and where it was going. We had been impacted, of course, by the Dark Knight trilogy a few years before that. So we were DC fanboys who wanted a good, solid movie universe that took our characters seriously. And we felt Zack Snyder did that. He, especially me, your story guy, I appreciate how serious he takes his storytelling in his universe. As someone who takes art seriously, like myself, it's refreshing to see someone else who takes it just as seriously. I remember having a good time watching Justice League, but I remember being disappointed. It felt like it didn't quite reach its potential. It was as if it was trying to be something that it wasn't previously. And so Justice League bombed at the box office and went on to just kind of become this taboo subject, especially in the context of the DC movies themselves. Like, they never referenced the events of Justice League. I think Aquaman referenced it with a throwaway sentence.
I need you to come with me to Atlantis.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you the same thing that I told that rusty starfish Volko. Except nicer because you're a lady. No thank you, I'm not interested.
You defeated Steppenwolf and saved Atlantis.
That had nothing to do with Atlantis.
We DC fans just kind of left the smoldering ruin of Justice League. So fans were really disappointed that they didn't get to see Snyder's original vision for Justice League. During production, Zack Snyder actually suffered a family tragedy. He lost his daughter, and that contributed to him stepping away from Justice League during post-production. Now, there are some reports that he was fired because they were worried about the tone of his films based on the reception of Batman v Superman. Either way, he's gone, right? He steps away from Justice League. And they bring in none other than Joss Whedon. That is the guy who directed Avengers and Avengers Age of Ultron. Literally, he directed the competition. Couldn't make a more obvious statement, right? We want these movies to be like the Avengers. Kind of went in the JFK there a little. We want these to be like the Avengers. And so what we got in the end in theaters was this mashup of styles, this kind of collision of Whedon optimism and Snyder deconstructionism. Frankenstein cut of a movie that just didn't satisfy anybody. It didn't satisfy the Snyder fans, and it didn't satisfy the mainstream audiences. And so it flopped. There were always people who were calling for Snyder's original vision, his original quote-unquote cut, to be released. If enough fans give him shit for it, maybe they'll get tired of hearing release the Snyder cut, and they'll release the Snyder cut. And lo and behold, apparently that's what happened. Woo! Superman! The differences between the theatrical cut and the Snyder cut. There are videos aplenty on YouTube that break the differences down, but the main thing people remember, obviously, is Superman's mustache, or Superman's weird upper lip. When Joss Whedon came in and took over Justice League from Zack Snyder, he called the cast back for reshoots to make the movie more lighthearted, more fun. Henry Cavill, the man who played Superman, had to grow a mustache for Mission Impossible, a movie he was shooting at the time. They had to CGI out his beard, and we all know what happened from there, right? One of the things you can rest assured knowing you won't see in the Snyder Cut is a weird CGI upper lip of Superman. There are CGI characters in the movie, so you may see a CGI upper lip, but I can tell you it probably won't be Superman's. And then how can the Snyder Cut affect canon is a big question. I got a real world answer for this, honestly. If the Snyder Cut does well, it'll be considered canon. If it doesn't do well, then the theatrical cut will be considered canon. Good news about Justice League's impact on continuity is that other movies, like I mentioned earlier, other movies haven't really referenced the events all that much. Shazam, you could say, references the events of Justice League because when you see the newspaper in that kid's place, it says Superman is back, which is obviously a reference to his resurrection in Justice League. So you got little tidbits like that, but the references are general enough that you can convincingly just kind of rewrite history and nobody will be the wiser. Nobody will really care. In fact, there will be a lot of people who will thank you for releasing this alternate history. Now, the 6 things I'm looking forward to the most. And why did I choose 6? Well, we have 6 Justice League members, so I wanted to get one for each one of them. They're not necessarily related to each of the members. I just wanted to have each of them have a reason, so they would feel counted. So number 6, I would say more nightmare sequences. I think it's a very brave concept. The decision to consider, what if heroes lost? What if the good guys lost? That's what I loved about Logan. I love when heroes are put in a position where they don't really feel like heroes. If you figure out how to be a hero when you're not feeling like a hero, then I think that makes you a hero, bud. Number 5 is Darkseid. Why is he at number 5, you say? Honestly, I don't really care all that much about Darkseid. All it needs to be is a strong ensemble movie with character arcs that respect each character. That's all I want in a movie, really. If you give me an ensemble movie, that's what I want. I want each character to get their justice. So I don't really care much for setting up future movies. That's actually one of the things that kind of bugged me about Batman v Superman was I felt it tried to set up too much. and kind of crumbled under the weight of its own ambition. The fact that Darkseid will appear in the Snyder Cut kind of tells me, okay, maybe they'll consider sequels. Maybe Darkseid will be a hit. He'll be intriguing, and they'll want to bring him back like Thanos and all that. You know, for that reason, I'm excited about Darkseid, because what if he gives us sequel potential? Number 4 kind of piggybacks off of the Darkseid point, which is a better Steppenwolf. Those of you who've seen the concept art that Zack Snyder himself has released, this actually shows a very different Steppenwolf than the one we got in the released theatrical cut. He was very generic, very unfinished, a very unfinished character in the theatrical cut. He didn't have a lot of development. He'd spit out these cheesy old villainous lines, right? The fact that, I don't know how to say his name, but his name is Karen Hines. Mr. Hines is what I'm going to call him. Mr. Hines was cast to play Steppenwolf, and he said yes to being in a motion capture suit and, you know, doing this very, you know, untraditional method of acting to portray this character. The story arc that Steppenwolf goes on in Snyder's cut, from what we've been able to piece together, is quite developed. It's clear they had to cut a lot of it out in the theatrical cut, and by doing that, it obviously made him a one-dimensional villain. Take my number 4 and 5 and just wrap it all up to better villain. Number 3 is Cyborg's storyline. Zack Snyder had always described Cyborg as the heart of the movie. In the theatrical cut of Justice League, we didn't even get his origin story. He was just already messed up, and we got, like, some video clips. But Snyder's cut not only involves Cyborg's origin story, how he, you know, got to be a cyborg, but also before he got to be a cyborg, we'll actually get to see, you know, him playing football, like in the comics. There's just so much untapped potential in Ray Fisher, the actor who plays Cyborg. But they neutered his character in the theatrical cut. I remember being struck by him watching the theatrical cut, being like, oh, he just needed more screen time, man. Number 2, Superman's storyline. The coolest part of Justice League to me was when Superman came back to life and fought the Justice League. I thought that was really tight. And the fact that he was almost like just this out of control force of nature, it was this really cool concept. This onus that they place on Superman, this fact that, you know, he could literally destroy the world except for his morality, the person he is, right? For that brief span of time in that movie, we had a Superman who was not bound by morality. He was just bound by fear. He had woken up and it was just, who are these people? Defend, you know? It was cool because it was so unsettling. All of Bruce Wayne's worst fears about Superman being realized in just this moment. And finally, the number 1 thing I'm looking forward to the most about the Snyder Cut: Batfleck, baby. I'm looking forward to more Batfleck, guys. Yeah, I'm going to put him right here while I'm talking. There. He is my favorite on-screen Batman. I can't say he's the best, just because I don't think he's gotten the chance to be the best yet. He hasn't gotten a full, you know, satisfying, redemptive story arc yet. I had some problems with him killing people in Batman v Superman, but I didn't think it was unheard of. He had killed people in the comics before. Yeah, he doesn't do it that often, but what's wrong with being different, people? You know? This guy who had been this hero, but who had been beaten down by the world, that appealed to me, because I feel like that's kind of what happens to heroes in, you know, our real world. Come into this world with all these hopes and dreams and these big ideas about how we want to change the world, and then setback after setback just says nope. Eventually you kind of settle and say, okay, maybe I just don't do this anymore, maybe I just don't try anymore, or maybe I get my hands dirty. And also, I just want Ben Affleck to have, Batfleck to have a proper send-off, right? We have Robert Pattinson coming in as Batman, and interestingly enough, I'm actually looking forward to his portrayal. I think he's a very underrated actor. It'll be a different Batman than Ben Affleck, but again, what's wrong with being different? You know, why do we want to see the same things over and over? So all in all, that is what I'm looking forward to with the Snyder Cut. Guys, I honestly never thought this day would come. It still feels like a dream, honestly. So yeah, what are you looking forward to on that Snyder Cut? Let me know in the comments below. Never let anybody tell you fans have no power, man. We do. We have all the power. This is your Superman Ben. Oh, this is your Superman Ben. Signing out.